It is a peculiar thing that man, the only creature gifted with reason, should be so prone to asking what he is for. The birds do not sit in perplexity over their flight, nor does the tree question its own growing. And yet we, made with far greater design, find ourselves adrift in uncertainty, asking again and again, why am I here? Many seek the answer in ambition. They run from one pursuit to another, convinced that the next success, the next possession, the next triumph will quench the restlessness within. But what if the key to our purpose is not found in forging our own path, but in yielding to the one who has already drawn it? Consider a tool, finely crafted, yet unaware of its own purpose. If left to itself, it may attempt to carve, to strike, to illuminate, and yet fail in all its attempts. Only when placed in the hands of the one who made it does it truly fulfill the task for which it was designed. So it is with us. We are not accidents of chance, but creations of intent, fashioned by a mind far greater than our own. To seek purpose apart from our Maker is to grope in darkness. A difficulty in this realization. For to find our purpose in God requires an act of surrender, an admission that we do not belong to ourselves. And this, to the modern mind, seems an intolerable loss. Yet, is it truly loss, or is it freedom? The river that stubbornly refuses to follow its course does not gain independence, but only ceases to be a river at all. So too, we do not find liberty in self-will, but in obedience to the design set before us. If we accept this, if we cease our striving and ask, not what we would make of ourselves, but what He would make of us, then we will find something unexpected. Not mere duty, not restriction, but joy. A soul aligned with its Creator is like an instrument perfectly tuned. It rings with a music that was always meant to be played. The world will tell you to chase your own purpose, to grasp at meaning wherever you can find it. But I tell you this, meaning is not a thing to be taken, it is a thing to be received. And once received, it does not fade like riches or accolades, for it is rooted in the eternal. Every human being, at some point, wrestles with the question of purpose. It is not merely an intellectual curiosity but a deep and urgent longing of the soul. From childhood, we are filled with an innate sense that life must mean something more than mere existence. A child does not simply wish to grow, eat, and sleep but dreams of being something, an explorer, a hero, a figure of significance. This longing does not diminish with age, instead, it becomes more desperate as we face the realities of the world. The world, in its relentless noise, offers many answers to the question of purpose. Some say it is found in success, and making a name that will be remembered long after we are gone. Others insist it is in pleasure, in extracting from life as much enjoyment as possible before the inevitable end. Still, others place their hope in relationships, believing that love alone will give meaning to their days. But if these things were sufficient, why do those who have them in abundance still hunger for more? Why do the wealthy, the powerful, and the celebrated often confess to feeling empty? There is a certain tragedy in the pursuit of purpose apart from God. A man may devote himself to building something great, a career, a reputation, an empire, only to find, when he reaches the heights he once dreamed of, that he is lonelier than before. He looks down from the summit and realizes that he has climbed the wrong mountain. He has gained the world, perhaps, but his soul remains unsatisfied. It is a terrible thing to achieve all that one has set out to do, only to discover that it was never enough. History is filled with examples of those who sought purpose in the wrong places. Kings and rulers who conquered nations but remained restless, philosophers who pursued wisdom but confessed to knowing nothing, artists who created beauty yet found themselves tormented by despair. Their lives serve as a warning. If purpose is sought in things that fade, the pursuit itself will end in disappointment. The reason for this endless longing is simple: man was not made to define his own purpose. A created thing does not determine why it exists, its purpose is set by its maker. A watch does not choose to tell time, nor does a lamp decide to give light. They do so because they were made for it. If they are used for anything else, they cease to function properly. In the same way, a man who seeks to determine his own purpose apart from his Creator will always be misaligned, always searching but never satisfied. This is not to say that ambition, pleasure, or relationships are wrong. On the contrary, they are good gifts, given by God, meant to be enjoyed. But they are not the ultimate purpose of life. They are signposts, pointing beyond themselves to the one who gives them meaning. To mistake them for the destination is like mistaking a map for the journey itself. Many resist this truth because it requires them to acknowledge that they are not self-sufficient. It is an uncomfortable thought, for it means that we are not the masters of our own fate. But does a painting resent the artist for giving it meaning? Does a melody resent the composer for arranging its notes? On the contrary, their beauty is found in being what they were meant to be. So it is with us. The search for purpose is not a matter of invention but discovery of the one who made us and the purpose for which he made us. When a man ceases to seek meaning in himself and instead turns to the one who created him, he finds something remarkable. He finds that he was made for more than mere existence. He was made to reflect the nature of his Creator, to walk in communion with Him, to live not for passing things, but for things of eternal significance. It is in this knowledge that the restless heart finds peace. The question that has haunted mankind for centuries, "Why am I here?" finds its answer not in self-determination, but in surrender to the one who made all things with purpose and intention. There is a voice in the heart of man that whispers, "You are your own master. You must carve your own path, define your own meaning, and determine your own destiny." This voice is seductive, for it appeals to our deepest desire for control. We do not wish to be dependent, we want to be sovereign over our own existence. The world encourages this mindset, teaching us that purpose is something we must construct for ourselves, that we are the architects of our own fate. But this is an illusion, a deception as old as humanity itself. To believe that we can create our own meaning is to assume that we are capable of sustaining ourselves, that we are the source of our own being. But where did we come from? None of us called ourselves into existence. We did not choose the time or place of our birth, nor the talents or limitations we possess. We did not form the intricate design of our minds or bodies. If we were truly self-sufficient, we would have shaped ourselves according to our own desires. Yet we arrived in this world as dependent beings, sustained not by our own power but by something beyond us. A creature cannot define itself apart from its creator any more than a key can invent the lock it was made to open. Consider a tool, lying in a workshop, unaware of its purpose. It may attempt to fashion an identity for itself, imagining that it is a hammer, a saw, or a chisel. But unless it is used by the craftsman who made it, it remains idle, unable to function as it was intended. The tool does not assign itself meaning, it receives meaning from the one who shaped it. Likewise, man was not designed to exist in isolation from his maker. He was created with intent, fashioned for a specific purpose, yet he often resists this truth, insisting that he must find his own way. The pursuit of self-made purpose is exhausting. The world tells us that we must define ourselves by our achievements, our status, our wealth, or our pleasures. But none of these things can bear the weight of our existence. A man who seeks fulfillment in success will find that every victory is fleeting, every accomplishment requiring yet another to sustain his sense of worth. A man who places his identity in wealth will discover that riches, no matter how great, can never satisfy the hunger of the soul. And the one who lives for pleasure will soon find that every indulgence leaves him emptier than before, forcing him to seek greater and greater distractions to numb the ache of his longing. There is a profound tragedy in the life of one who believes he must be self-sufficient. He does not realize that his restless striving is not a sign of strength but of misalignment. He is like a branch that has broken away from the tree, believing that it can thrive apart from its source of life. For a time, it may appear fresh and green, but soon it withers, cut off from the very thing that sustains it. In the same way, man, when he separates himself from God, does not gain freedom, he loses the very foundation of his. A watch is made to tell time, a lamp to give light, and a ship to sail. Each thing that is crafted carries with it an intended purpose, one that is woven into its very design. The watch does not choose to measure time, nor does the lamp decide to illuminate, they function as they were made to function. And yet, when it comes to man, we entertain the notion that we must define ourselves apart from the purpose for which we were created. We insist that meaning is something we must construct rather than something we must discover. But if every created thing has an intent behind its existence, how much more so do we, who are infinitely more intricate and carefully formed? Man was not made for aimless wandering, nor for mere survival. The complexity of his mind, the depth of his soul, the moral compass within him, all these things point to the fact that he was designed for something higher than mere existence. Unlike the beasts that act on instinct, man has the ability to reflect, to reason, to create, and to love. These are not mere biological functions, but markers of something beyond the physical, signs that we were made for more than what we see. To ignore this truth is to reduce ourselves to something less than what we were intended to be. It will instinctively long for the open sky, not because it was told to, but because it was made to fly. If a fish is taken from the water, it will struggle to return, for its very being depends on the environment in which it was meant to exist. In the same way, the human soul longs for something beyond the material world, for a purpose that cannot be satisfied by wealth, pleasure, or status. This longing is not a weakness but a sign of what we were made for. We hunger for meaning because we were created with meaning. We thirst for eternity because we were fashioned for something beyond time. The world offers many substitutes for this higher calling, but they are mere imitations of the real thing. It tells us that success will give us purpose, yet many who reach the pinnacle of success find themselves more lost than before. It tells us that pleasure is the goal, yet the pursuit of pleasure alone leaves us empty, constantly craving more but never satisfied. It tells us that love will complete us, yet even the deepest human relationships, while beautiful, cannot fill the void that was meant to be filled by something eternal. Man was not designed to be satisfied by temporary things. He was made for something greater, something lasting, something divine. There is a restlessness within every human being, a yearning that cannot be silenced by distractions or achievements. Some attempt to suppress it, drowning it in work, entertainment, or indulgence. Others try to redefine it, convincing themselves that they can manufacture their own meaning. But the hunger remains, for it is not something we can remove, it is a part of our very being. It is the echo of a deeper reality, a reminder that we were created with purpose and intention. To deny this longing is to deny our own nature, to resist the very design that gives us significance. A thing is at its best when it is used according to its purpose. A violin, when left untouched, is merely wood and strings, but when placed in the hands of a skilled musician, it sings with beauty. A brush and canvas, on their own, are simple materials, but when used as intended, they become a masterpiece. Likewise, a man who lives apart from his true purpose may survive, may even achieve great things in the eyes of the world, but he will never be fully alive. Only when he aligns with the purpose for which he was created does he find true fulfillment, true joy, and true meaning. To recognize that we were designed for something greater is not to diminish ourselves, but to elevate our understanding of what it means to truly live. It is to step beyond the illusions of self-made purpose and to embrace the truth that we were not accidents of chance, but intentional creations. It is only in this realization that we begin to walk in the fullness of what we were meant to be. To surrender is an idea that often provokes resistance in the human heart. From an early age, we are taught to fight, to achieve, to take control of our own destiny. We admire stories of those who carve their own path, who defy the odds, who stand unshaken in the face of difficulty. To surrender, then, seems like the opposite of strength. It appears to be weakness, defeat, a loss of self. This perception is flawed, for not all surrender is failure. In fact, there are moments when surrender is the only way to truly live, the only path to freedom rather than bondage. A man lost in the wilderness may insist on walking in any direction that feels right to him, believing that pressing forward on his own terms is the key to survival. But if he refuses to stop, to consult a map, to seek guidance from those who know the way, his determination becomes his downfall. His refusal to yield is not strength but folly. In the same way, the human soul, seeking meaning and direction, often insists on finding its own way, refusing to surrender to the one who holds the map. And yet, until that surrender comes, the wandering never ceases. The world teaches that we must be the masters of our fate, that to give up control is to be diminished. But the truth is that control is an illusion. No man commands the rising of the sun or the beating of his own heart. No one dictates the day of his birth or the hour of his last breath. We are not self-sufficient, though we like to believe that we are. To acknowledge this, to surrender to a higher purpose rather than our own limited understanding, is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the admission that we are not meant to navigate life alone, that we were created for something beyond ourselves. There is a paradox in surrender, one that is difficult to grasp until it is lived. The river that resists its course does not gain freedom but loses its very identity as a river. It is only in flowing within its intended path that it reaches the sea. The branch that breaks from the tree does not gain independence, but withers, cut off from its source of life. So too, man does not find purpose by clinging to his own desires, but by yielding to the one who made him. Surrender is not the loss of self, it is the discovery of who we were truly meant to be. Fear often stands in the way of surrender. We hesitate, wondering if we will lose too much, if we will be left empty, if the cost is too great. But what exactly do we fear losing? If a man clings to a broken compass, convinced that it will lead him home, does he not gain rather than lose when he finally sets it aside for a true guide? If a child releases a counterfeit coin only to be given true treasure, has he been robbed or enriched? What we surrender in the pursuit of our own way is nothing compared to what we receive when we align ourselves with our true purpose. There is a deep joy in surrender, though the world cannot understand it. To hand over control is to be freed from the weight of striving, from the exhaustion of self-made purpose. It is to exchange uncertainty for trust, chaos for order, restlessness for peace. Those who surrender do not become less, they become more. They are not diminished but completed, stepping into the design for which they were made. To surrender is not to lose one's identity but to finally find it. Many hesitate to surrender because they misunderstand what it truly means. It is not a passive resignation, a lifeless submission to fate. It is an active choice, a step into something greater. It is the realization that we were never meant to bear the burden of our own purpose alone. When we surrender, we do not fall into nothingness, we are lifted into fullness. We do not vanish into insignificance, we step into a purpose far grander than anything we could have created for ourselves. The highest calling is not found in stubborn independence, but in willing surrender to the one who knows the way.